We are so excited to have, by popular demand, Charlie King back in Toledo and the First Unitarian Church of Toledo, and with an amazing musician in his own right, Rick Burkhardt. I want to give a huge thanks to Teal, the Evening Alliance Layman's League, for funding this event. I also want to thank individuals, Sue Carter and Colette Cordova, for their help, our kitchen crew headed by Carla Mercer-Logan, and our tech crew headed by Walter McGee. There are, of course, many others to thank, and we thank everyone. Charlie King is a musical storyteller, a satirist that has been at the heart of American folk music for 60 years. His songs have been recorded and sung by some of the big names in folk music, including Pete Seeger, Holly Near, Arlo Guthrie, Chad Mitchell, and Ronnie Gilbert. Rick Burkhardt is an Obie-award-winning performer, composer, and playwright. He has toured nationally with the satirical political cabaret duo Prince Myshkins. His songs have been featured on Morning Edition and Democracy Now! Let's give it up for Charlie King and Rick Burkhardt.
Well, hello. Oh yeah, I like the way this is going so far. Well, some of you may have noticed that about 2 years ago, a group of people called MAGA Republicans, or MAGA, I don't actually know how that's pronounced, were, don't, by the way, tell me. They were elected to Congress, and they sort of took over the U.S. House of Congress based on the promise that they would solve America's problems with inflation. And then they forgot to do that. Like, for the next 2 years, they didn't advance a single bill having anything to do with inflation. They sort of instead argued that the government should not pay for anything. No farm bill, no appropriations for any sort of, actually they threatened to shut down the government several times if it continued paying for things. There's one exception, however, that they were okay with the government paying for, and that, of course, is bombs. And that's kind of the way it always is. There's never any money for everything. There's never any money for anything that isn't a bomb. I've got a little squealing going on up here. I know that it's an appropriate reaction to what I'm saying, but it's not really okay. Technologically speaking, it's appropriate. So we thought of a song that Charlie wrote about 15 years ago, which is based on a song that Malvina Reynolds wrote about 55 years ago. It's a song about what would happen if maybe some appropriations priorities were reversed. And the song goes like this. Last night, I had a lovely dream. I saw lobbyists with protest signs trudging through D.C., while President Amy Goodman watched Jon Stewart on TV. And she wore a yellow ribbon saying,
I support our teachers. I won't betray the trust of those who fight to help kids learn. It gives great aid and comfort to our brazen enemies when students lack the proper tools to learn the ABCs.
Not to mention the do-re-mis.
I'm very tough on ignorance and education hock. School spending is inadequate. It's time to bite the chalk. Oh, the money's gonna flow. Are you telling me that you don't support our teachers? Whoa, the money's gonna flow. Are you telling me that you don't support our teachers?
On her limo was a bumper sticker.
I support our nurses. These gallant men and women risk their lives to fight disease. It's no surprise they need supplies to keep us hale and fit. The war on germs is endless, and its needs are infinite. Our current foreign policy is squandering the wealth. What good is global empire if you haven't got your health? Whoa! whoa, the money's gonna flow. Are you telling me that you don't support our nurses? Whoa, whoa, the money's gonna flow. Are you telling me that you don't support our nurses?
Amy flaunts a flag lapel pin saying,
I support our veterans, including those in hospitals, in jails, or on the street. They deserve to earn the lifestyle that they've been fighting for. If they'd had better schools and jobs, they wouldn't have gone to war. There's some that reaps the profits and there's some that pay the debts. Just for a switch, let's tax the rich and spend it on the vets. Whoa, the money's gonna flow. Are you telling me that you don't support our veterans? Whoa, the money's gonna flow. Are you telling me that you don't support our veterans? Are you telling me that you don't support our nurses? Support our teachers, support our USA.
patriotism. Feels good when you get a chance to feel it. So, while we're on the subject of legislation, we figured we'd do 6 or 7 more songs on that topic. Very popular topic that has inspired generations of poets and songwriters. This is a song about a particular legislative endeavor. It took place in Florida. It's called the Parental Rights in Education Act. It's got a few fans in the audience. That's always fun. Not everyone knows this act by its official name. It's actually a piece of legislation that is better known by its colloquial name, which is the Don't Say Gay Bill. The Don't Say Gay Bill is kind of the drag name of the Parental Rights in Education Act, which is not legal in Florida, but hey, we're in Ohio, no problem. Parental rights. What does it mean? It's one of those terms that whenever it comes up, people get very, very, very concerned and worried, especially kids. And in this particular case, it means educators should not be allowed to say gay or really refer to anything that has to do with homosexuality in an educational setting. And this is based on the idea that if one says gay, one can turn someone gay. Which is an idea that I thought we had debunked a long time ago. I mean, I recognize that there may be some heterosexuals in the audience tonight, and I just want you to know that's totally cool with me. I'm like totally... some of my best friends on Facebook are heterosexual on Facebook. I have this theory that my parents may have experimented with heterosexuality, it would have been back in the 60s, when everybody was doing it. But the point is that, if it were possible to turn a straight person gay, there wouldn't be any of you left. And this is a mathematical equation, right? Because they say that 10% of the population is gay. That means that each one of us only has to do 9 of you. And, that's going to take less than 2 weeks. So... I understand that these kind of statistics and demographics can be a little bit alienating, a little bit dehumanizing, so this is a song where we attempt to put a human face on this issue. Imagine a human face like this on a sort of a issue-y body with issue-y feet and legs and stuff. The song goes like this. On the bus was a chap with a bright red cap inscribed MAGA. He was cis and straight and he was spouting hate, so I turned him gay. Then I heard about a clown who was melting down on a soundstage in Santa Fe, harassing innocent folks with his phobic jokes, so I turned him gay. I turned him gay without delay. Oh, it may appear a bit severe, but it was the only way. Some twit on Twitter got a bit too bitter on the topic of the nation's decay. When he spewed his screed on my Facebook feed, I just turned him gay. Then a viral post from a talk show host endeavored to spoil my day, boosting phobic rage on my For You page. So I turned him gay, turned him gay. I just figured, hey, to To some it seems a bit extreme, but to the other team it's a field day. I saw a homophobe in a preacher's robe, commanding me to pray it away. So I tried and tried till I decided I'd prefer to just turn him gay. I saw a perfectly innocuous straight guy working the chef supply store. Well, I kinda thought the guy was hot. He's not straight anymore. I saw a guy and a doll in the outlet mall engaged in some PDA. I said, lady and dude, I'm just not in the mood. And then I turned them gay. I saw a gaggle of schnooks banning library books some shock jock claimed were risque. I said, what y'all need is to learn to read. And then I turned them gay. I turned them gay. I had a busy day. They cussed and cursed and fussed at first. Now check out the outlets, they all slay. I was reading one of those classic formative novels by Hemingway. I'm like, why is this book so heteronormative? And then I turned it gay. Okay, there may be a couple of flaws in my utopia. Yeah, well, I can promise one of those problems won't be homophobia. Well, I went to the dentist. He was a centrist. Half of what he said was okay. So I turned him bi, but then I just thought, why? And then I turned him gay. I saw a frothing, frightening, closeted right-wing member of the NRA. So I turned him straight, and he felt great. And then I turned him gay. I turned him gay. You know what they say? Oh, the golden rule is always cool, and turnabout is fair play. Then a bill went through the Florida Senate about a word I should no longer say. I said, fine, I won't say it, but you will in a minute. And then I turned them gay. Coalitions of Christians and shifty politicians siphoning my rights away. A couple of dozen world leaders and Jordan Peterson. I just turned them gay. I turned them gay. Oh, hip, hip, hooray. They were once so very reactionary. Sorry, Mary, not today. I turned them gay. And that's the way they'll stay. Oh, they cursed and cussed. They were nonplussed. Now it's Exodus from the Chick-fil-A. Oh, no, it's fine. The pleasure's mine from Timberline to Tampa Bay. Oh, hey, I'm happy to help them. You're welcome. Christmas every day. I got a cease and desist from Ron DeSantis. My lawyer said I'd better obey. I said, okay, Ron, game on. And then I turned him gay. Never doubt that a small group of committed individuals can change the world. That's a true story, by the way. Hey, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check.
Just to show you how carefully we plan these sets, we're going to continue bashing Ron DeSantis. This time, not only are you not allowed to say gay in Florida classrooms, you're also not allowed to teach an authentic and honest American history. And so they're whitewashing the history of our country, and I get it. I come from a family that knows how to keep its secrets. And, you know, you got things you're ashamed of in the past, you just don't talk about them. So that made a certain amount of sense to me, but it didn't serve me very well, or my family. I don't think it'll serve our country very well either. Well, look at you over there.
Look at me.
Woo-hoo. I remember Grandma's face. She looked so sad and quiet. She left one day without a trace, though all my folks deny it. Granddad hated Carrie Nation. It was rum that killed him. They say it skips a generation. Better not tell the children.
Somewhere there's a box of letters. Somewhere there's a diary. In a drawer beneath Mom's sweaters, shielded from inquiry. Remember why the old cat died? Curiosity killed him. Some things are best kept inside. Better not tell the children.
Better not tell the children.
Why
Bring up the past. Better not tell the children. merchants hovered. 140 million souls lived happily undiscovered. We brought them gold and germs and speed. We brought them guns and germs and steel, and it was all downhill. Then 1 in 10 lived to tell the tale. Better not tell the children.
Then we learned to line our pockets, thanks to old King Cotton. Slavery guaranteed the profits. Some things are best forgotten. Lincoln said he'd free the slaves, skipped a couple million. Jim Crow rose to dig their graves. Better not tell the children.
Somewhere there's a bill of sales, somewhere there's a tally.
In a drawer, long lost ledgers, tattled tales, whispers in the alley.
Laws that sanctioned lynching mobs and disenfranchised millions.
If you want to keep your job,
You
better not tell the children.
better not tell the children, it'll only bring them shame. Better not tell the children, they might think that they're to blame. Better not tell the children, they might say we need to change. They might think that we're the villains. Better not tell the children, better not tell the children. They might say we need to change. They just might be willing. Better not tell the children.
This year is the 100th anniversary of an event that a lot of people don't know about. It is the Milford Mine Flood of 1924. That was the largest iron mining disaster in the history of the United States, and the largest mining disaster in Minnesota's history. This was in northern Minnesota, 1924, February. 41 people died when the mine flooded. Most of those people, of course, were immigrants who had come to the United States from Eastern Europe or Scandinavia. They had come because of the promise, which was actually kept, that the mine company would provide schooling for their children. One of the people who escaped from the mine as it was flooding, there were only 6 people who got out alive. One of them was a guy named Fred Hart Jr., who was 14 years old. It was not legal for him to be working in the mine at that time, but apparently he was sort of a big guy, and he snuck in, and one of the people who did not escape was his father, Fred Hart Sr. So this is a song about that. It's also about a trip that I took to the site of the mining disaster last year with my dear friend Ben Ludke, who lived in that area. The site of the disaster was not commemorated for years and years, but finally an activist organization managed to build a very beautiful monument with plaques with names and descriptions of all of the people who died. And what it looks like is a beautiful lake, and that's because many of the 10,000 lakes up in that northern Minnesota region are actually iron mines that have been filled in with water. When it became impossible for the iron to, when it became impossible to make a profit by sending the iron down the Mississippi River, the mines closed, the towns disappeared, and what we have left is a commemorative site. And this is a song about that. The Milford mine caved in 1924. No one mines iron here anymore. But they put up some signs behind the rust-red lakes. Frank lived in Austria, Fred in Croatia, where American minds advertised in the papers. Come find the kind of fortunes you can make in the mines behind the ice on Foley Lake. And I'm just saying, I noticed that you'd already been to all the former mines. You'd already read all 41 signs. You lay your head where the ore lies. 175 feet below ground, the sirens blow and the lamps blow out. The skip tender winds the cord of the siren round his belt as the drift fills in with the lake ice melt. And I'm just saying I noticed that. You weren't happy when I took a selfie. I know it's a habit, I know it's not healthy. Can't you see I'm trying to freeze time and melt me? They found Frank and Fred on the edge of summer, in the mud-flooded tunnel, arms round each other. The sign showed a quote from a friend of Fred's wife. It said, partners in death as well as in life. And I'm just saying I noticed that. I'm just saying I noticed that.
All right, then. Maybe talk a little bit. I guess I should. This song was not inspired by the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was inspired by the reaction to the fall of the Berlin Wall. I was in Texas shortly after that wall came down because of the organized efforts of people in Germany who had the courage to go out with sledgehammers and crowbars and take it down. And I'm driving through Texas and I hear a luncheon speech at a luncheon club by the chairman of the Chambers of Commerce of Dallas, Texas, Deadly. And he holds up we discover on radio, he holds up a chunk of concrete and he says, "This is a piece of the Berlin Wall," which you could get at Neiman Marcus at that time. And I suspect he did. But he then launched into a speech holding that chunk of concrete that suggested that the fall of the Berlin Wall validated his lifestyle, his politics, his economic ideology. And I got to thinking about all of the walls that surround the chairman of the Chambers of Congress of Dallas, Texas, and walls that surround us really in so many ways and need to be torn down. So that's the walls. Those are the walls that this is about. There is a wall, the tallest wall of all. They named a street for it, where numbers roll and eyes go blank. It's a wall of gold. They buy the future with the past. They call it work. Just feels like money in the bank. And way down at the foot of that wall, where the guards can barely see her at all, a woman is standing, not asking, not demanding. A poor woman is standing with a hammer in her hand. Don't you want a piece of that wall when it comes down? Don't you want to live to see it fall when it comes down? When that wall is gone, no matter which side you were on, can you say you took a piece of that wall down? Don't you want a piece of that wall? There is a wall. It's the meanest wall of all, stretched from my doorstep straight back to 1492. It hides the ovens, it hides the settlements, the homelands, pink triangles, shackles, passbooks and tattoos. Way down at the foot of that wall, where the guards can barely see him at all, an old man is standing, not asking, not demanding. An old African is standing with a hammer in his hand. Don't you want a piece of that wall when it comes down? Don't you want to live to see it fall when it comes down? When that wall is gone, no matter which side you were on, can you say you took a piece of that wall down? Don't you want a piece of that wall? There is a wall, the oldest wall of all, the wall of fear. Hail holds danger out, desire in. It's the wall that bristles each time the warden brings back tales. Inside we're starving to buy the bricks, to build the cells, to bury love, to bar the door, to ban the stranger. But way down at the foot of that wall, where the guards can barely see at all, that stranger is standing, not asking, not demanding. That stranger is standing with a hammer for your hand. Don't you want a piece of that wall when it comes down. Don't you wanna live to see it fall? When it comes down, when that wall is gone, no matter which side you were on. Can you say you took a piece of that wall down? Don't you want a piece of that wall?
Here's a song from just 10 years ago. The moment you step in a street you've stepped in before, the moment the squad car opens its door, the moment your hands go up in the air and you go down, a moment of silence for Michael Brown.
First tell your kids, watch out for the cops. The moment the cops show up, dressed like Gestapo, the moment it looks like the war overseas and it's your hometown, a moment of silence. Michael Brown.
The moment the anchorman calls you a thug and forgets to frown, the moment they don't run the photo of you in your graduation gown, the moment they ask why your family and friends can't take it lying down, a moment of silence for Michael Brown. A moment of silence for Michael Brown.
Also 10 years ago, I got to go to the 50th anniversary march on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. And I got to ride all night on a bus that had been chartered by the United Auto Workers, who chartered a lot of buses for the original march 50 years prior to that. And we got there with the rising of the sun and walked out to the rally site, and we heard a lot of very powerful speeches that day. And most of the speeches referenced the fact that we're here 50 years after people organized, marched, vigiled, risked their lives, risked their freedom, sometimes lost their lives and their freedom in order to guarantee the constitutional right to vote to people who were entitled to it for decades prior, but were refused. And then, of course, the speakers observed that every year more and more efforts are being made to claw back that guarantee of a right to vote and to make it more difficult for the most marginal people to enter a voting booth. And that goes on and on and on. And the final speech of the day was delivered by Reverend Al Sharpton. I'll read to you what he said at the end of his speech. He said, "We're on our way to North Carolina. We're on our way to Texas. We're on our way to Florida. And when they ask us for our voter ID, take out a photo of Medgar Evers. Take out a photo of Viola Liuso and tell them they gave their lives so we could vote. Look at this photo. It gives you the idea of who we are." Don't tell me you don't know me. I voted here before. Since Truman snuck past Dewey, I've been walking through that door. And now you want to see my ID? Yeah, I got one to show. I've carried it for 50 years, 3 faces in a row. The first is Andrew Goodman, James Chaney to his right. The third is Michael Schwerner, and they brought me here tonight. They gave their lives so I could vote. They were murdered by the Klan. Look at this picture, then you'll know exactly who I am.
Back then it was the poll tax and the old grandfather clause. Now you're getting cagey with your voter ID laws. You talk about election fraud, let's talk about Jim Crow. Don't talk to me, you talk to these 3 faces in a row.
You tell of law and order, why don't you tell the truth? That there's nothing that you wouldn't do to keep me from that booth. Your law degree may hinder me, but this one thing I know, I'm not alone. My right to vote was paid for long ago, and the price was high. The lives of these 3 faces in a row. So this is a song. I was raised by Eisenhower Republicans, and they're starting to look pretty good to me, you know? And with that memory, it's so hard to figure out just how that party could go downhill so far, so fast. And why people of some sanity and hopefully good conscience could be so intimidated and manipulated. So here's a song of sympathy for current Republicans, and it's got a part in it for you. It's not a big part. It's just one line, actually, but it'll give you a chance to channel your inner Tammy Wynette. Sometimes it's hard to be Republican, swallowing your pride for just one man. You'll have bad times while he's having good times, saying things that no one understands. But if you fear him, you'll support him, though he acts in ways that you can't stand. Just learn to grovel, oh, and bring your shovel. He's a sack of snakes, but he's your man. Stand by your man. Give him your blind allegiance. Ignore all gross malfeasance. Laws were made to be broken. Stand by your man. And should he grieve or grope you, just keep your distance if you can. And stand by your man. You know, it's not much fun anymore in the grand old party. You get to feeling you're just the help, while you know who knocks down another tray of leftovers. But hey, it's worth it. You get to keep your tips. And remember, there's always room at the bottom of that slippery slope. Stand by your man. Tell him he'll never lose you. Who knows, he just might choose you, his running mate or mistress. Stand by your man. And though he's crass and creepy, just show him you're his biggest fan. Stand by your man. This could cost us our non-profit status as folk musicians.
Well, all that non-profit has to go somewhere. So all of us know what took place on the afternoon of January 6, 2021. But not all of us know what happened on the evening of January 6, 2021. This is a little song about that. It's a true story. Some names have been changed to protect various people in various stages of innocence. I would say that you could say that the song was loosely based on a true story, but loosely and sincerely and with great fervent love. Also, you know, it may have just been a coincidence, but I'm not sure any of you are aware of this. That moment, January 6, 2021, that coincided with the sort of sea shanty craze on TikTok. There was just like, people were sharing sea shanties like there was no tomorrow. And so this does have a little sing-along part which would sound really good if sung by pirates. There's no particular reason why it needs to be narratively, but if you find yourself compelled to sing along, just give it that kind of sea shanty feel and it will all start to kind of click into place, right? Okay, but remember, that's not actually part of the story. That's just like a historical coincidence that happened to take place, like many historical coincidences do, in particular in our sets. Oh, the MAGA were worn out from their day of fighting the capital fight. And their menfolk do tell of the best URL to meet someone special at night. Her name was Sweet Lily, or so she appeared to the fellows with fortune to find her. Oh, she looked quite the catch on both Tinder and Match, and she looked a bit different on Grindr. And it's so nice when your device makes all your cares disappear, and love greases the gears, boys. Love greases the gears. Young Jimmy Thorne, in his blackjack and horns, was admiring the likeness of Lily. He sent his profile with his stiff little smile, and she rightly replied to him, really? Said Jimmy,
I've come from the Capitol grounds, where we stormed the seat of the nation. And I know from your profile says you have conservative views, which is all I require of a maiden.
and it's so nice when your device makes all our cares disappear, and love greases the gears, boys. Love greases the gears.
Says Lily,
"'Tis true, my conservative views are a legend from here to Glen Burnie. I wish I had proof you were speaking the truth with regard to your capital journey." Jimmy replied with his heart open wide,
I'll share with you all of my details. I'll send proof of my strength and explain it at length. 'Tis my custom when speaking with females.
and it's so nice when your device makes all our cares disappear, and love greases the gears, boys. Love greases the gears.
Jimmy Thorne sent her his whole day's adventures, recorded on multiple apps. His birthday, his social security number, his videos and selfies and snaps. His Airbnb and his social photo ID, which he thoughtfully scanned and then signed.
And when young Jimmy Thorne heard the knock on his door, it was not the one he'd had in mind.
But it's so nice when your device
makes all our cares disappear, and love greases the gears, boys. Love greases the gears. Love greases the gears, boys. Love greases the gears. It really is true that there were a number of women in the DC metro area who realized, hey, there's a lot of people on the apps tonight who aren't usually here. Wonder if we can get any useful information from them. And then they did, and they passed that useful information to people who used it for some really, community-stirring purposes. So we've got one more song before we take that intermission you heard about. And this is a song that Charlie wrote 2007, I believe.
Oh, that's a good guess. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, it's off by 2 years, but we'll settle for that. It's actually 3 songs, but we've rolled them into one. I was working on 3 different songs, and I noticed that each one had a thread in common with the other 2, and so that's how you only have to listen to one song to get the entire triple message. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A. Philip Randolph, born in 1889, just 23 years after Congress finally freed the slaves. He organized the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters back when organizing unions was a fast track to the grave. Old man Pullman tried to bribe him with a blank check and a letter. He said it's good to 7 figures soon as you and I agree. Randolph sent the check back with a note that stated simply, you could buy my parents, but you can't buy me. You can't buy me, no you can't buy me. You may own the government, make the laws and pick the president, but the last word in the argument is you can't buy me.
Natalia Dimitrich of Ukrainian State TV was a signer for the deaf on the 6 o'clock news. When the anchorman said candidate Yushchenko is the loser, he assumed she would report that, but she silently refused. The results are rigged, she signed instead. Please do not believe them. I will not interpret lies. Perhaps the truth will set us free. She sparked a general walkout of journalists by saying, you may own the media, but you don't own me.
You don't own me, no you don't own me. You may own the government, make the laws and pick the president, but the last word in the argument is you don't own me. One person at the bottom stands in solitary witness, like Rosa Parks, believing segregation could be stopped. The underdogs who follow him know the emperor is witless. When the system comes apart, it will unravel from the top. I don't even know her name. An old woman on the corner, downtown Kansas City, on the first day of the war. Her sign must have been 4 feet tall, stating her position, and though passing drivers cursed her, her words could not be ignored.
God bless the people of Iraq. The message she had written made me think of them as friends and not some faceless enemy. And having no illusion that her sign could stop the slaughter, she said, I may not change this system, but it won't change me.
It won't change me, no it won't change me. It may own the government, make the laws and pick the president, but the last word in the argument is it won't change me. 'Cause you can't buy me, no you can't buy me. The last word in the argument, you can't buy me. Thank you.
Well, all right. During the pandemic quarantine, not one but 2 friends of mine chose to become public school teachers in the great state of Texas. Those were strange times. And this is a song I wrote for those friends. Their names are Matt Butterfield and Kevin Quintero. He shuffles into class 6 minutes late.
I call him Miguel, he calls me Mister. He's wearing a mask much too small for his face. I happen to know that's 'cause he sewed it for his little sister. I know he packed her lunch, his little brother's too, and then from 5 to 8 a.m. he worked retail. End of the day, he's got another day job waiting. All I can say is, hey Miguel, you could still include more detail about your bald spot sunburned manager, about your grand aunt and her boyfriend fighting. I want to quit this job, but I can't, 'cause I'm such a fan of your creative writing. Cook them a dinner that's vivid and specific, help with their homework, wash their little masks. The soap feels slippery, the tacos taste terrific. I'm learning so many things I'd never be allowed to ask, like don't you dare tell his family who he never told about the night he snuck to Rite Aid and got himself the vaccine. I swear this kid writes like he was 65 years old, and I'm just trying to write like I was 16. But come lunchtime, I must dine with the birch bark shiny faculty. Beneath the whine of fluorescent lighting, they all say Miguel has a discipline problem. And I'm screaming inside, you pompous asses. Not one of you could pass my class in creative writing. I'll build a spaceship from your stories, and I'll blast off from my Lilliput apartment, different solar system from which your words were written. I might find some creatures smart enough to figure out what you meant. I'll have my quarterly performance review. They'll say, don't worry, the first 10 years are the worst. You're doing great. If you just keep the kids from jumping out the windows, I'll say that is not my job. Not if I jump first. I can't afford to order in again, but outside the virus count is rising. I know tonight I'm gonna lose it, because every night I lose it before I lose myself in your creative writing.
We'd like to do a piece for you that was created by Leon Rosselson. He's a wonderful British songwriter and singer. It's called The Last Chance. And The Last Chance is a bar in Israel that Leon used to frequent in 1958, 59. He was living on a kibbutz there. And he said that the stories told in his piece reflect the attitudes that he learned from the people that he was associating with during his time in Israel. He wrote this piece in 1982 after the invasion of Lebanon, The Last Chance. It was the last chance. It was a nightclub in the desert called the Last Chance. A cluttered dive of stones and wheels. It was a refuge for the rootless of the world, washed up like driftwood on the sand, and we were there. It seemed so long ago. They came from nowhere, the lost, the broken, and the mad, as if from nowhere. They stumbled in like blind invaders, while Mahalia boomed a gospel song, and candles blurred the gloom. They drank and argued till the dawn had drained the night away. Among the seekers after oil or truth or a home, among the businessmen, the pickpockets and whores, among the soldiers and the tourists, some had names and histories. Meyer, with his stone-bald head, built like a butcher, which he was. He made his money selling pork, but not on the Sabbath. They said his parents were killed in Belsen. They said he saw his sister raped, but no one really knew. Stories swirled about like dust on the desert wind. You never knew what was true, and in the end, it didn't really matter. There he was. And Sam, with his mournful expression and his mobile face like crumpled leather, there he was, a dancer, light on his feet. Theirs was a needle match, each coming out trying to outscore the other. Sam out of mischief, Meyer out of a desire for victory. So they came from opposite corners of the ring in every argument, and everything was an argument. Like the Sinai campaign. For Meyer, that was a time of glory. That was when we found out we were strong, he said. Strong? Shrugged Sam. Who needs it? So Meyer pinned his arm behind his back and forced him to his knees. You do, Jew, he said. The general opinion was that Meyer won that round. They came from nowhere, the broken, lost, and the mad, as if from nowhere. They blundered in like blind invaders, while Mahalia boomed a gospel song, and candles blurred the gloom. They drank and argued till the dawn had drained the night away. Do you remember the day the Bedouins came to town? I still remember their women standing still as stone, their silent shapes cocooned in black against the whitewashed walls that echoed back the sun to blind the eyes. Ghosts from another world. You know what's wrong with Israel? Said Meyer one night. I know, said Sam, dancing in, grinning. Too many Arabs, right? Wrong, said Meyer. Too many Jews. Look at them, rabbles. They don't speak Hebrew, half of them. Rabble. Take the Yemenis, donkey riders. Never stepped foot on a bus before they came here. And their women, all whores. What about Romanians? Sam threw in obligingly. All thieves, said Mayer. They say all Hungarians are bald, said Sam, and raised his eyes to the heavens. Mayer ignored him. We must forge one nation, he said. We must weld the youth into one nation. Why? Said Sam. How? Said Sam. In the fire, Mayer went on. In the heat of battle, we will become one nation. Under King Solomon, Israel was a great nation, rich and powerful, and one day we will be so again. Sam sighed. We are Jews, he said. Why should we turn our children into Israelis? History loves a winner, said Mayer. No more guilt, no more fear, no more being different. I like being different, Sam said. Mayer stood up and pointed a thick finger and yelled. He thinks he's funny. This Jew thinks he's funny. No wonder they fed you into the ovens. Do you remember the day the Bedouins came to town? I still remember their women's waiting still as stone, their silent shapes cocooned in black against the whitewashed walls that echoed back the sun to blind the eyes. Ghosts from another world. Across the desert, the road carves southward to the Red Sea through the desert. A cratered moonscape made of sand. We saw the burning fists of rock and felt the wind that sucked us dry and heard those urging, surging songs. Always new lands to tame. Mayer liked telling stories of how in the War of Independence he blew up Arab homes. He knew Sam would become agitated. It would turn Sam inside out. It is not true, he said. You did not do that. Why not? Said Mayer. Facts. Now there's nothing left for them to return to, only stones. Let them find homes with their own kind. I want nothing to do with such facts, said Sam. Where would you be without them? Sneered Mayer. We made this country, he said. Before us, what was there? Marshland? Desert? The promise was to us. The desert shall blossom like a rose. There were people, Sam said, like us, with hopes and dreams. Hopes? Dreams? Mayer spat the words out. You think you can buy the future with dreams? And he took a pile of notes from his pocket and threw them on the table. There, he said. Facts. Money. Don't give me your dreams. Sam turned away and began to find a dance with his feet, like a child taking its first steps, while Mahalia sang on, her voice intense with the joy and pain of believing. But Mayer wasn't finished. This man is full of dreams, he taunted, full of could-have-beens. A dancer he could have been, a mime artist he could have been. It's true, said Sam. as he moved and swayed to the music. I could have been a great mime artist. And slowly, his mournful face upturned and his hands outstretched, he wove a strange, shuffling dance round the pillars and the wheels and the homemade stools, round the stolen signpost indicating Ramallah 45 kilometers away, round the lacquered stones and the pieces of driftwood, twisted, gnarled, desolated by the wind and the waves. Mayer's stone ball head seemed to swell with fury. Displaying himself, he said contemptuously. Where's the dignity? And he pushed aside his cognac and pulled himself to his feet and picked up a stone and gripped it in his bunched fist. And in his eyes was a peculiar sort of hatred. And suddenly the jangle of noise, the chattering, the shouting, the laughing fell away to a whisper. Everyone turned to watch. There was only the sound of Mahalia singing and the shuffling steps of Sam's dance. Could we have guessed then how it would be? Could we have seen in Mayer's eyes those certainties, facts, the houses torn apart, the torture, the weeping, the children dying, fragmentation bombs, the phosphorus bombs, facts, the shortest distance between the past and the future. But we saw only Mayer, stone in his fist, and we waited in silence for what he would do. Sit down, he said in a low voice. Sit down. And then he hurled the stone with all his force, not at Sam exactly, but still at Sam. It smashed against a pillar and clattered to the floor. Sam froze, stopped dancing. A silent shape in the candle gloom, his mournful face crumpled and yellow. It seemed to us he was about to cry. Then he put his arms above his head as if to protect himself, turning in on himself. I want to go home, he said. I want to go home. It was the last chance. It was a nightclub in the desert called The Last Chance, a cluttered dive of stones and wheels. It was a refuge for the rootless of the world, washed up like driftwood on the sand, and we were there. It was so long ago. Leon Rosselson, The Last Chance. We sang the other night in Madison, Wisconsin, which is the home of two of our favorite songwriters, Peter and Lou Berryman. Did you ever get to hear Peter and Lou Berryman? Well, they're all over YouTube, so you've got a treat in store for you. Actually, I think they are as Lou and Peter, excuse me. And I was thinking the other day, walking along, that Peter has this pattern of writing songs that provide the answers to the rhetorical questions. Like he wrote the song, Why Won't Johnny Bowl? Or, why are we painting the living room? And this particular song fits into that niche as well. All of our bedrooms are gilded and burnished
with every conceivable luxury furnished.
Security guards always lurking here somewhere.
And calmative drugs at the hint of a nightmare.
With eider-down pillows of 1,000-count satin.
On 12 poster beds with a view of Manhattan.
A soothing and comforting sight.
So, why do you people keep asking us
how we can sleep at night? With dreams of our limousine fleets holding steady,
and jets on the tarmac all fueled up and ready,
and 100-foot yachts for our White House connection,
and choppers to whisk us in any direction.
Now even our House of Accountants relaxes.
They've worked it all out so we barely pay taxes.
The future is peaceful and bright. So why do you people keep asking us how we can sleep at night? If ever our government lay down the sword, creating a dip in the Dow,
we might need our nightcaps more liberally poured. But everything's booming right now.
And thanks to the coming of privatization,
they'll no longer nick us for free education.
We won't have to spring for the old and the lazy,
or pop for the health of the wretched and crazy.
We're calmer today than we've been throughout history.
So why you would ask us this now is a mystery.
We don't get it, try as we might. Why do you people keep asking us how we can sleep at night? We don't mean to be impolite, but why do you people keep asking us how we can sleep at night?
Words to live by. Time to speak some truth to power. This is a song where I'm going to speak some truth to the people who really hold the power in this upcoming election. This is a brand new song. I haven't actually really decided how it ends yet, but starts a bit like this. Would you rather eat this filet mignon that somebody spilled some horseradish on? Or would you rather
never swallow this roach motel and wash it down with some cyanide. I can't decide. Would you rather swim in this backyard pool, knowing the last guy who swam here wasn't so cool? Or would you prefer to be fully submerged in this freezing cold tub of formaldehyde? I can't decide. I'm undecided. I'm just not sure. There's so many options. It's sort of a blur. In my personal purple state, I'm undecided. I'm deciding your fate. Would you rather climb up this flight of stairs whose carpet shows signs of wear and tear? Or would you prefer to traverse this 400-foot cliff on a ledge a half an inch wide? Everybody, I can't decide. I'm undecided. I'm not sure about that. I live in a black box with Schrodinger's cat in my permanent personal purple state. I'm undecided. I'm deciding your fate. I'm undecided. Undecided. It's anybody's guess why the world in which I play God is a god-awful mess. In my personal purple state, I'm undecided. I'm deciding your fate.
Well, I'm really not sure what to do now. But it's always a problem how to figure out how to end a song. Malvina Reynolds, a most wonderful songwriter, was reported to write a song every day after breakfast. And her advice to the songwriter was, when you finish your song, take out scissors and cut off the last verse, which I find to be very confusing advice. This was a song that I started and wasn't able to finish. It was stimulated by the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And specifically by the reports of the first responders who had to go in to that building. And I got just to a point where I didn't know what else to do with it. But in the last year, it sort of came back into focus, and that's how it got an ending. You stand behind the yellow tape. You tremble and you sob. No going in and no escape. They're handing you a swab. Just twist it round your mouth, they say. Then there's an awkward pause. We need it so we know, they say, which child is yours. The AR-15 is a lethal gun. It packs a heavy load. One shot and it will kill a child. 2 shots and she'll explode. No other rifle can compare. So if you're keeping score, it complicates things if you care to know which child is yours. And who will sort them out today? This endless bloody chore. For every child is easy prey, and every child is yours. In Gaza City, parents have to write their children's names with magic markers on their legs, pretending it's a game. But older children who have lived through never-ending wars know it is so. The rescue teams will tell which child is yours, and who will sort them out today. This endless bloody chore. For every child is easy prey, and every child is yours. Every child is easy prey, and every child is yours. Jim Crow.
Oh, you're so right.
And why were you just sitting there, Rick?
Well, sometimes it's nice to have a little break.
I thought you were undecided.
I will be soon. So here's a song about all the things that are happening to prevent people from voting and all the ways that we should react to that. I know that it's complex living in a swing state. I know that this hasn't been a swing state for a little bit. I live in Brooklyn, so it's like, what am I supposed to do? But I got a lot of friends in Brooklyn who really ought to be able to vote and can't. And there's lots of people all over the country who ought to be able to vote and can't. This song is for them. And if something inspires you in the next couple of weeks, I think it might be the idea that if you get even one other person to vote who wasn't going to, then that really contributes a lot to the numbers. I think that, since they say that right now it's like 49-49, that means that if you get someone to vote for your candidate, if we all do that, then it'll be 98-49, right? I think that's mathematically correct. That's not really what the song is about, though. That's really just kind of an excuse to play the song, and it goes like this. When 6 white dudes in a power-grasping mood strike your right to vote down with a pen, and they swear to their God there's someone else committing fraud, that's when Jim Crow rears his head again. Jim Crow's head looks at blue votes and sees red. Jim Crow's head's only ever had one goal. So when Jim Crow's head rises up like the undead, like a zombie without body, brains, or soul, are we gonna let Jim Crow's head take control? Or is Jim Crow's head gonna roll? Now see, I sort of screwed up because I was trying to write a song with a singable chorus. That's not really a singable chorus, but the last line, though, you can come in on that last line and it'll be really inspiring. We'll be able to envision Jim Crow's head rolling as far as it possibly can. So let's do that.
Jim Crow's head goes down to a particular part of town where the high election turnout doesn't suit him. There he rips up ballots saying none of them are valid while he whines about how liberals persecute him.
Jim Crow's head heads back to the white side of the tracks where the... Sorry. Do you want to do the chorus?
No.
Okay, Jim Crow's head heads back to the white side of the tracks where his speaker fees and book deals are substantial. There he goes on Fox where he talks and talks and talks about his views unjustly being canceled. Jim Crow's head looks at blue votes and sees red. Jim Crow's head's only ever had one goal. So when Jim Crow's head rises up like the undead, like a zombie without body, brains, or soul, are we gonna let Jim Crow's head take control? Or is Jim Crow's head gonna roll?
Jim Crow's head keeps yelling he can always spot a felon by their zip code or the hue of their complexion. And some scholar for $1 built a creepy web card caller to be sure they won't be voting next election.
What? Jim Crow's... What?
Can I try that again?
Yeah, this is like
Jim
basic...
Crow's head keeps yelling he can always spot a felon by their zip code or the hue of their complexion. And some scholar for $1 built a creepy web crawler to ensure they won't be voting next election.
Jim Crow's head is known to philander with a gal called Gerrymander. In sordid acts of Congress they canoodle. Their big lies birth big laws, chopping voters up like jigsaws till the map looks like a gummy noodle strudel. Jim Crow's head looks at blue votes and sees red. Jim Crow's head's only ever had one goal. So when Jim Crow's head rises up like the undead, like a zombie without body, brains, or soul, are we gonna let Jim Crow's head take control? Or is Jim Crow's head gonna roll? Jim Crow's head's so swollen from his trolling through the courts and city halls and cyberspace. Don't just get upset that he isn't vanquished yet. People, let's go get in Jim Crow's face. Jim Crow's head looks at blue votes and sees red. Jim Crow's head's only ever had one goal. So when Jim Crow's head rises up like the undead, like a zombie without body, brain, or soul, we gonna let Jim Crow's head take control? Or is Jim Crow's head gonna roll?
Getting down to the shank of the evening here. This is a get out the vote song. And we have been on this tour of battleground states and Indiana and Ohio. We've been accused of being partisan and even said that this Get Out the Vote song was partisan, although all I do is suggest that we should vote for someone who tells the truth. Now, that is a partisan statement, I know that, but that's not my fault. And it's not your fault either, Rick.
It really isn't.
No, it's not. Are you there then?
I seem to be.
Well, all right then. I've been battered by Bush, betrayed by Barack, taunted by Trump, but let me remark that I'm still willing.
You know, the best folk songs that we ever sang were sung by Pete and Woody in the Wallace campaign. Wallace. Flawless Wallace.
I got excited by George McGovern. Not too much excitement since then. Kennedy, Jackson, McCarthy, Kucinich made a good start, but they never could finish. But if you give me someone who tells the truth, and you show me a voting booth, then I'd be willing to be voting. I was madly for Adley, but too young to vote. I was old enough to fight when LBJ wrote, greetings, are you willing? You know, I backed Goldwater back in '64. What was that for? It was all a blur in '64. But I'm still.
And I was not tricked into voting for Nixon. I resisted Reagan's sorry old rant, rejected every other rat the Republicans ran. Always a millionaire and always a man. But if you give me someone
Who tells the truth, and you show me a voting booth, then I'd be willing to be voted. Take off your gloves, Rick. My father voted for Norman Thomas. Grandfather voted for Debs. Great-great-grandfather voted for Lincoln. I go and vote for Bill Clinton. What the hell was I thinking? But if you give me someone who tells the truth, and you show me a voting booth, then I'd be willing to be voted. Thank you, and thanks to Lloyd George. That's not right. Lowell George. No thanks to Lloyd George. He should have known better.
We're going to do one more song before we do our 13 or 14 encores. This is been an amazing evening. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks to the Unitarian Church. Thanks to Jeffrey for running our sound, which I think is pretty good. It's pretty good sound in here.
And thanks to Walter, who is the videographer tonight, who is recording and will archive and put it up on YouTube so we can all go home and see all the mistakes we made.
This is a song based on, well, not the lives so much, but the afterlives of three people from history. Their names are Williams Carter Wickham, Charles Lynn, and Edward Colston. If you don't know who those three people were, that's great. That's how we like it. But this is a song that I wrote in the summer of 2020 when these people's reputations took a little bit of a downward plunge, you might say. And this is a song about how that happened. Your childhood was ringed by cotton fields. The hands that picked the cotton cooked your meals. While you grew up to be a soldier, then a general of some renown. You fought the Union off at Chancellorsville. Your cavalry was flanked at Fisher's Hill. They felled your men. Now follow them. Statue down.
The cotton which those nameless people picked, you took from them and packed it in your ship, then sailed it to the mills at Liverpool, pound for pound. And from those sails you sailed the money back to keep your southern armies in the black. Now the bill is due, and so are you. Statue down. Statue down. You thought you were glory bound, and now you're on the ground.
You face the changing wind, no bronze and no stone to insulate your thin skin. From Bristol Bay you reached across the sea for silver, sugar, gold, and ivory. Your Royal African Company sure shopped around.
Then on the New World shores, the souls you sold weren't yours, except for one whose time has come. Statue down. Statue down. You thought you were so profound, and now you've been decrowned
And drowned in Bristol Bay, the gallery of decay, where your exhibit A for a day, and history is strange,
and history can change. You made history, now so do we. Statue down. Thank you. Rick Burkhardt.
Charlie King.
Joe Moran.
Yes, once again, let's put our hands together for Rick Burkhardt and Charlie King. We can do an encore again. You gonna do an encore? Oh my God. Too soon? All right.
What's going on? Well, you're really good singers. And it just happens, just so happens that this final song is not only a sing-along, which it is, it's also a round. So for the advanced singers in the audience, you don't have to be advanced, you can be like lower intermediate. This is a very easy song to sing as a round.
You could be a kid.
I mean, you should. Everyone should. But let me explain. What we're going to do is first we're just going to sing the chorus normally, and then we're going to do it in this sort of call-response way where I just sing a line and you sing it back. It's real easy. You will learn the chorus. It will be seared into your amygdala. And then, you know, the song goes on. It's got like a couple verses. It's got a guitar solo and stuff. It's got another verse. And I don't want you to have to be like thinking like, when's the round start the entire time? You'll miss the entire narrative thrust of the song. So here's what I'm going to do a little cue, a little sort of little sneaky clue that the round is about to start. It's going to sound like this. Okay? It might even be quieter than that, but it's like you're not going to miss it, I promise. Okay, and after that, you can just sing the chorus that we've been singing the entire song, but you can start it at any point. You can start, I'm quite serious. Any line you want, you can just start in on that. You can pick one line and just sing it over and over again. All sorts of things will work. This is a very, very, very easy but beautiful and effective round. And it's based on a series of stories by Eduardo Galeano. Is anybody here familiar with his work? He is a Uruguayan writer, one of my very favorites of all time, writes these wonderful books that are mostly made up of small anecdotes or fables or historical tidbits, primarily from the history of South and Central America. So you've got all of his books to read in your future. Just think what a wonderful future that's going to be. And here's the song that's based on some of his writings. I'm going to tune this because I really want it to be good. I would say that it is now really good. Yeah. The tree of life grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground. The tree of life grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground. Meet me at the tree where the clear river flows past the mountain whose name the junta doesn't know, and we'll run for the forest when the junta attacks. The falling leaves cover up our tracks. The tree of life, grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground, The tree of life, grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground.
Well, they climbed up the mountain and they gave it a number. They couldn't see the forest for the virgin lumber, and they swung with their axe blades and they hollered timber, and the mountain top slid into the river.
The tree of life, grows upside down, Roots in the air, fruit in the ground, the tree of life grows upside down. Roots in the air, fruit in the ground, If you fall in the forest and nobody hears, then what's it gonna sound like when the forest disappears? 'Cause your past is enormous and your present is big, and if you want a future, you're gonna have to dig. When you get down to where your future begins, you'll see your history shaking in the wind. You'll see your history shaking in the wind. The tree of life grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground, the tree of life grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground, the tree of life grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground, the tree of life grows upside down, roots in the air, fruit in the ground, 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 fruit in the ground.
Really great singing. Like, we could hear it from up here. It was really great. Thank you so much. Charlie King.
Rick Burkhardt.